So our objective for today is to pretty much illustrate to you guys that language affects a person's thought process, and what we're mainly going to focus on is gender. So say you're talking to someone and they don't clearly state what gender, if they're talking about a person, and they don't clearly state what gender they're talking about, you can usually pick up on it because of context clues, like the words that they use throughout the conversation. You can usually tell if it's a boy or a girl that they're talking about. So, like for example, say you're in a baby store and you overhear a couple talking to a salesperson, and you don't know if it's a boy or a girl, you didn't hear them say that, but you hear the words they're using and the characteristics they're using to describe the future with this baby. You can usually pick up on it if it's going to be a boy or a girl. So what we mainly want to focus on is why exactly in the English language have we associated certain words with masculinity and with femininity. And why have we done that, considering it's not incorporated grammatically into the language like it is in other languages. Like in Italian, there's always la and il in front of the word, so you know if it's masculine or feminine, and in English, we don't know that necessarily. So we want to try to figure out why we have associated certain words with masculine and certain words with feminine.
Alright, so for the activity, do you guys all have a piece of paper on you? Pen and pen. We have a list of words, and you're going to separate them into masculine words and feminine words based on just what you think of them. And there's going to be 9 of each. So, I'm going to take a few minutes to do that. Alright, does everyone still need time, or?
Yeah, just a second.
Alright. Alright, so can anyone start us off with what words you think are masculine?
Handsome. Yeah, right, like it next to it.
Yeah.
Aggressive. But confrontational.
Arrogant.
Oh no, I got one wrong. Which one? Big. That's it? I put clever. Clever? Yeah, clever is witty, isn't it? And neither is fit. So I can be up one?
Bold.
Hit. Bold.
Lively.
We need 2 more?
Yeah.
Dumb. all the way up. And lively. Okay, so the rest are all feminine.
Alright, so you guys were pretty much able to see the difference between them. Does anyone can give a reason to why you saw a difference? Or you were able to figure out the difference between which gender is which?
For mine, I actually separated it into 3 groups because I felt that some words up there can be on both sides,
Yeah.
and I feel society has always taught us to think of man as handsome, bold, aggressive, dumb in some sense. I'm not gonna say it, and clever. I feel that's how society has taught us to think. So, yeah, that's the way.
So you feel like you just kind of like grew up with it?
Yeah, in this society, yes.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but a lot of the feminine ones all end in Y's.
Yeah, we didn't think of that, but good connection.
Just
Anyone else?
Actually, it's a question for everybody. Have you always associated these terms with gender or anything like that?
Or do
Yes.
you not really think about it when you say it? Like,
I would never call a guy sassy. I'd be like, oh, you're being so sassy right now. I would never say that to a guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've never be like, Megan, you look so buff today.
You're ditzy. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that'd just be creepy.
Anyone else?
Do you think that this affects the way we think? Yes?
Yeah.
Why?
I just think it like puts like technically like aggressive, like a girl could be aggressive too, like so we're like focusing so much on like making words for males and words for females, but
Yeah.
in reality like a girl can be any of these, I guess maybe except for handsome. But
Yes, of course.
None of them are like specifically like, does our culture say like this has to be used for girls, this has to be used for boys, but like
we've just made it that way.
Yes, Tim.
I think a lot of them, if they're used for the opposite sex, they become somewhat offensive opposed to compliments. Like, if you tell a guy he looks buff, he's going to be alright. You tell a girl that, she's not going to be too happy about that.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
that's-
same with, like, all those, for most of them, for the most part.
I feel like they could be also like opinion based because like if one girl thinks that like a guy is handsome, another girl might not think that he is. So I feel like it could be like your opinion also depending on like who you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia?
I was gonna say, I think it depends on the person as well. If somebody told me I'm buff, I was like, oh, I'm actually doing something good at the gym then. So that's how I would think. I was like, yeah, I'm buff. I guess I'll just continue at the gym. So I feel it depends on the person when using certain terms.
Well, would you rather be called buff or fit? Because those were our, like, we kind of paired those together, and we said fit was female, buff was male. So, like, which one would you take as more of a compliment? Or do you think it'd be the same?
My dad was a bodybuilder, so if somebody told me buff, I would be happy. I was like, yes.
No, I would too, but I was gonna say, like, you can easily call, like, any gender, any of those words, but, like, if you call a girl, like, oh, you have a handsome face, she's gonna automatically be like, oh my gosh, I'm masculine, and vice versa. Like, if you call a guy ditzy, he's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm feminine. Like, you know, like, you could use it either way, it's just the connotation they're gonna take it as.
So, one more question. If you overheard a conversation, like you were just walking by and you overheard these people talking and you heard them use the words like, sorry, if you overheard them use the words like bubbly, ditzy, witty, sassy, would you automatically assume that it's a girl that they're talking about? Nobody would assume it was a male?
And what was your name again?
Nina.
What?
Nina.
Nina, you had a good point. Like, these terms can be put with just anybody. It's not like set for like one gender or another. But because of the way society works these days, that's kind of how it is.
We have this there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's great.